Grave Digging and Grave Robbing by Braden, Glenn, and James. Grave digging, what it is. Grave digging is assigned to a worker at a cemetery. The worker has to dig graves for the deceased prior to a funeral service. It can also be associated with digging up a grave where someone is already buried. Grave digging background. The oldest known burial took place approximately 130,000 years ago and was for religious purposes. People were scared of what happened after death. We bury our dead because we believe that the body must be treated with reverence. How does grave digging relate to Frankenstein? Grave digging relates to Frankenstein because in the book the scientist digs up graves to steal body parts of his monster. This begins in chapter 4 when Victor starts to learn about anatomy. He starts collecting limbs of the bodies he began to dig up. Grave robbing, what it is. Grave robbing, or body snatching, is secretly removing a corpse from a grave to sell it mainly to a medical school for dissection or anatomy classes. Grave robbing background. The start of grave robbing was mainly directed towards study of the human body, anatomy, medicine, and dissection purposes. Grave robbing has been around as early as the 1300s. Stolen corpses were used for public dissection and for other educational purposes. Grave robbing, how it's done. Grave robbers would work in teams, mainly targeting new graves because it was easier to dig up the unsettled earth. A tunnel would have to be dug, sometimes 4 feet down, the coffin broke into, and the body carried to the surface. How does grave robbing relate to Frankenstein? Grave robbing relates to Frankenstein because Victor Frankenstein stole body parts of the corpse to create the monster. The actions that Victor did to acquire the body parts would be considered grave robbing. Concepts of Frankenstein. The concept behind Frankenstein was to explain how women are absolutely necessary to society. The book really depicts how men were very misogynistic and viewed women as objects. Mary Shelley's point was to show that the men creating life on their own would create monsters, hence the creation of Frankenstein's monster.